Hey everyone, this is Daniel, and this is my last video for the year 2022, and therefore I thought I'll create it as a review video to give you a year-end review of how this amazing year has served me. So I want to break it down into a few levels: professional, personal, and also give you a quick update on the future ideas that I have. So let's start at the professional level. And over here, I want to actually talk about my YouTube, events, promotion, and the 5-year MVP status that I have. So I'm recording this on YouTube. The best thing to do is actually talk about the YouTube. So here's my overall stats that I want to share. As of now, I have 18,000 subscribers, a little bit over 18,000. I recorded and published 52 videos. The videos included a little bit over 1,000 minutes. I had a total of 617,000 views, which in its term had the 5.4 million impressions over here. And then here's the overall video sections that I built. As you can see, I did a high number on Power Apps, Canvas app specifically, but then after that there was Power Automate, Yammer, I did a lot on Forms, Power Automate. I also touched 2 on Microsoft Syntex and on SharePoint. Now the SharePoint number is a little off of there because a lot of the SharePoint had to do with the Power Apps. That's why the SharePoint number looks a little low and the Power Apps looks a little high, but they kind of mix and match over there. So about the videos itself, like what were the videos and how it worked, what I want to do was do a side-by-side comparison of 2021 and 2022. So here's my 2021. The highest one on the ranking over there was the Power Apps Planning SharePoint Risk Relationships. I've got that over 40-some thousand views on that, and that's been the highest one of last year. And as you can see, after that, it was mostly tied to Power Apps and Power Automate. And I also introduced my Daniel Christian's Microsoft MVP and Trainer. That was basically my video for the YouTube. So that also was there on the ranking number 9. But this was my 2021. So now that you've seen that, let's do a side-by-side comparison of what my 2022 looked like. And as you can see, still in the year 22, the top one that I have is Power Apps Planning SharePoint Relationships or SharePoint List Relationships, still on the top. But then after that, a lot came with the SharePoint Lists, Power Apps, Power Automate, Microsoft Forms, and then the whole comparison that I did of Microsoft Forms versus the Power Apps Canvas app, like those were still the highest hit ones over there. Now it doesn't show all of the work that I've done because, as you remember, I just showed you a few minutes ago, I touched a lot on Yammer, I touched a lot on Power Virtual Agents. That was still not my highest one over here, but I do believe that that will change in the year 2023. So this was basically on the YouTube side. Let's take a look at my events. So the events, I want to break it down into 2 sections. One was the online and the in-person. So I had 6 online events last year. The Portland Power Platform user group, I actually did 2 over there, and I was focusing primarily on Power Apps, Power Automate from a SharePoint context. Then I also did the Power Platform Bootcamp, and I was completely focused on the Power Platform, or there a little bit more on the mixed reality side. Teams Nations for the year 2022, again, was completely on Power Apps Canvas app. Then I also, for the user groups, for the Atlanta user group, for the Charlotte, North Carolina user group, both of them invited me to talk about Yammer, specifically with the Yammer and the Viva Engage. That is where I focused a lot. I started on the user group side. So this was for the events which were online. Let's take a look at the in-person events that I did. And I actually did 4 of them. So the 365 EduCon, previously called as SharePoint Fest, I had the pleasure of going over there and doing workshops, going over and doing breakout sessions. And I did that in both the Seattle and in the Chicago area. And then after that, I also had the privilege of covering 2 sessions in the Microsoft Power Platform Conference. And I was also invited to do an Ask the Experts type of a role for the Microsoft Invite. So those were actually my 4 in-person events that I attended this year. It was amazing. I enjoyed each and every one of them. Next, it was my promotion as the lead engineer. And to be honest, some of the tasks that were involved with this role is something I was already doing that. But now that I got promoted, I gladly welcome that role. And it did challenge me a little bit more because along with this, now I had to step up and look beyond just the technical side. I had to do some planning from both the security and the compliance side, from the licensing side, from the permission standpoint, deep integration across other services at a much larger scale. Those are the challenges that came along with this role. And therefore, this is something that I was really excited about at the beginning of the year 2022. Also, this was the year where I received the 5-year plaque as a Microsoft MVP. And that plaque is such a humbling reminder that everything I do is for the community, and I'm a person who is driven by the community. And it's been 5 years since I've been a Microsoft MVP, focusing entirely on the Power Platform side. So I really thank Microsoft for recognizing all my work and sending me that 5-year plaque. So now I'd like to share some of my personal information with you. And these were the three big ones that I wanted to talk about: was the vacation, more daddy duties, and hobby. So let's look at the vacation standpoint. One of the best vacations we had in the summertime of 2022 was our trip to San Francisco, California. It's something that we've never been before. We live on the East Coast, which means we had to fly all the way to the West Coast. My kids were ready for the jet lag, so we thought, let's do this. So the first thing we did was we went to San Francisco and we saw all the major sites over there. Beautiful Golden Gate Bridge, we saw that. We actually took a great family picture over there. And then after that, we went and did a little bit more. So after that, we actually did a day trip to the Chinatown area over there. And that was amazing as well. Walking around all the places, getting to see all of these fancy things over there. It was really a good time that we had. After that, we also went to Alcatraz Island over there. That was amazing to actually learn a little bit more the history of that site. We were able to walk into what was actually called as a prison, see some insights on that prison over there. We were able to reenact the situation as if we were the prisoners over there. As you can see, we were trying to make a really sad face. But that was basically our trip in California, specifically in San Francisco, California. After that, we took a break from the city area. We drew 3 hours inland and we went to the Yosemite National Park. And that was an amazing time over there. I personally had so many God moments over there because the scenery was just remarkable. And as you can see, some of these pictures that we've taken over there is just so breathtaking. Amazing time that we had over there. We also got to enjoy the Mariposa Grove, or the giant sequoia trees over there. This is something that we don't see in the state that we live in. These are huge. I mean, they are amazingly huge redwood trees over there. And we did our best to actually take all of these pictures. But that was actually the big icing on the cake, is the Yosemite National Park. We spent 3 days over there, and that was amazing. And so finally, when it was time for us to move back home, we did drive back to San Francisco, and we stayed at what's called as the Palace Hotel over there. I just thought that I will, put that as the icing on the cake. And the last night we stayed over there. We in fact got up in the morning the next day, the day we had to fly back. We had an amazing breakfast over there, and my family really enjoyed that. And then finally, we just flew back home. So our entire trip of San Francisco, California and Yosemite was about a week-long trip. And that was actually the best vacation that we've had so far. Next is about my more daddy duties that have happened. So what happened was my oldest is now in middle school, which means that it's a completely separate school. So my wife and I, we actually had to divide and conquer, because the schools now where the youngest goes and where the oldest goes are literally in opposite directions. So this is basically what happened. I completely took charge of my oldest, and my wife took charge of the youngest. This is why, if you follow me on any of my social media, I've actually been putting pictures like this, because this is me waiting in the lane to drop off or pick up my kid. And my bud, which is Finn, he drives along with me. So here's Finn actually taking a look at my oldest as he's leaving for school. This is me standing in line waiting to either drop off or pick up, and Finn is right next to me. And we just have a great time doing that. And that's basically the additional work that I had this year, was the more daddy duties. Finally, from a personal standpoint, it is my hobbies. As some of you know, I do musical holiday lights as a hobby. And our big attraction this year was we went and added our arches. The arches were the big new feature in our props that we have. And these are a picture that I took of how the arch looks like, the pixels that are actually mounted in a very specific distance from each other. I want to give a big kudos to my wife, because she went ahead and planted each and every one of those pixels on these 6 arches that I had, and they were really displaced in a perfect way. Major kudos to my wife on doing that. But that was actually the big update that we have for our musical holiday lights for this year. So this is what those arches look like. They were the new upgrades that we added. And you can also see that from the side angle, it looks really well, all 6 of them. So that was the upgrade that we added to our hobbies, which is musical holiday lights. So here's just a quick overview of the future plans that I have. And as you know, I release videos on a weekly basis, and I'll continue to do that. But in addition to it, I will also be releasing the YouTube Shorts. And here are the scenarios where I have something to share with you, but it's not enough to make a full video out of it. Well, YouTube Shorts will be the perfect solution for that. And these will be in addition to those videos that I already receive on Mondays. This is something that I'll just release during the week, but that's something that you will benefit from. In addition, I will continue to do all the conferences that I just talked about in USA across the year. But there's one little addition that I would like to do for 2023 is start attending these European conferences as well. So if any of the European conference organizers are seeing this video, hey, I would love to speak at your events as well. I'm going to do my best to go in and carve out some time for those conferences, and I will start applying for those events as well. Finally, thank you for all the drive and the motivation that you've given me to fuel all this work that I do. I thank you for posting compliments on my YouTube channel, posting compliments on the social media, also the events that I spoke in person. You came up, you thanked me, we took selfies together. That was such a sweet moment that I had for all of these situations. Thank you for that. And so now I want to wish you and your families a Merry Christmas, or enjoy these happy holidays that we are having. And I really wish that you will have a prosperous and a blessed new year, which is the year 2023.